Hello, creators. How are you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Video Creators Podcast that we have here for you every Monday to help you know how you can grow your YouTube channel, grow the business around it, reach more people, and change their lives with the message that you're spreading and the business that you're growing. And thank you for letting us be a small part of that. Titles and thumbnails are so important. Today, Jake is from Creator Hooks is going to dive into that topic with us and really help us understand the principles behind what makes good titles actually perform really well and be highly clickable on YouTube.
Welcome to the Video Creators Podcast. We help YouTube creators grow their audience and business with next-level tactics and strategies. Want to accelerate your channel's momentum, be more profitable, and change the lives of more people than ever before? You're in the right place. The Video Creators team has over a decade of experience providing YouTube strategy for brands like Disney, Warner Brothers, HBO, and even YouTube themselves. So far, our team is responsible for helping clients generate over 17 billion views on YouTube. And now, to help you, here's Tim, Lennon, and Delana.
But before we dive into that, I want to introduce you to another creator, a guy named Neil. I have been working with Neil off and on for the past few years on his channel. We started working. He had this dream of, when we started working together, he had this dream of going full-time on his channel. But the problem was he's in a pretty narrow niche, a pretty small niche. It's not like one of these big like gaming communities or something. He's like, can I go full-time and make a full-time income and quit my job and make the YouTube channel pay all of our bills and sustain us and even become even more than my job, and in a relatively small industry, very small niche. And so now he's very close to the top of the game. There's maybe like one other channel that's a little bit more than him, but he has made it to the top of that channel, of that niche on YouTube. His channel is called Real Terrain Hobbies, and he made it. It took him 3 years, but after working really hard in a very small niche, small industry on YouTube, he made it work. It's not like one of these multi-million subscriber, like big niches where has really broad appeal, very narrow appeal, and he still made it work. And in my last consultation I did with him, his wife joined us, and the two of them shared with me how they did it. How did they get from having this dream to actually accomplishing it and getting to where they are today? Here's part of that conversation. Neil and Jackie, it's been so fun hanging out with both of you. I don't get to do sessions with married couples that often. Usually it's just like one or the other. So it's great to have both of you here chiming input into this, into your channel here. So Neil, when you and I first talked about 3 years ago, almost exactly to the date, you were at a spot where you were hoping your channel would turn into a full-time income. You were doing a job. You had a real job. I guess, I mean, this is a real job, but you had a different, like real job. And you wanted to be able to be home more, spend more time with your family. And you're like, how do I make that work? And spoiler alert for everyone listening, we're there. He made it 3 years later, and he's hiring his first editor now and everything. So Neil and Jackie, both of you, what advice would you give to a creator who wants they're in that spot where you were 3 years ago, and they're like, how do you get to the point where it's your full-time gig and you can start to bring on other people to help you and work with you? Yeah. What did that process look like for you guys?
Yeah. So there's a lot of ups and downs is the big thing. And I just knew that whatever kind of challenges came my way, I don't know. I just had the sense that if other people can figure this out, there's got to be a way for me to figure this out too. And I'm the kind of guy who does things slowly. I don't do change I'll do change, but big change happens slow for me. And I got to kind of do little baby steps at a time. But I knew if I just kept those baby steps, getting through the downs, like the channel's not growing very well, or it's growing way slower than I would have wanted it to, or this last video tanked for some reason, that I'd still be able to figure it out. And there's a method to it. It's not me. It's very easy to think that it's you. And I still have troubles with that now. I got lots of trouble with that. But yeah, it's just those little baby steps, one at a time. And I knew if I keep going, not give up, don't give up, that eventually I'll figure it out. I'm always learning, and I can figure it out. And that's, I think, pretty much what got me here is just not giving up. And I don't know, it's pretty generic advice maybe, but
no, it's like everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
You know, you can, it doesn't mean it's easy to figure it out. And I know you have worked through a lot of challenges and things on your channel that are not just like flip a switch and like, oh, it's fixed. You know, most of these problems, and that's, I think, what separates the people who get to where you are from the people who never do, because a lot of people think it should be a switch. They should get a trophy award for participation. And it doesn't work that way. It's hard work. And the people who want it go after it, they kill it, they drag it home, just like you have. And that's very commendable. So how about from your perspective, Jackie? What would you say?
Yeah, I've just seen him go through all of this with just this sense of like, I have a goal in mind for this business and for my family, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to trudge through it on the hard days. You know, like he just kept putting his foot forward, and he never let himself say, oh, no, I'm just going to go and do this job I already have. Like, we're fine with that. Let's just do that. He didn't lose the dream somehow. I guess he knew that if he kept putting a foot forward, he'd get somewhere. And sometimes we didn't see that right away, and that was really difficult. But as a wife, just being like his sounding board, because I don't know anything about YouTube, or I didn't. Going alongside him, I guess. And
it's not like we're full of struggles too. We're making it sound like it's been a pretty grim process, but you know, I mean, there's been lots of highs and things to celebrate. And I think that's one thing too. It's and I see this with other of my peers that are kind of, when you get the big high, it's so important not to just, I don't know, it's important to ride a straight line rather than get all excited on the big highs. And, you know, you got a video that's gone viral and is doing super good. And then all of a sudden you get your next video, all of a sudden you expect all these big things, your channel's finally making it. And then all of a sudden your next one kind of tanks. And it's because if you get that go a little too high and then it's followed by a low, it really wreaks havoc with your personal kind of self-worth, I think, rather than just, okay, that video did good. Let's analyze that, figure out why it did good, and then this next one didn't. What's the difference here? What's the problem? Why is that? Whereas if your emotions are all over the place, they're up and then they're down, then you can't think clearly, and and it can kind of mess it up.
No professional baseball player has 100% batting average, right?
Right. Yeah.
A good one like swings several times before they actually hit one over the fence. So that's, I think, the way it works on YouTube. We have this expectation that every video needs to go over the fence. And if it doesn't, because we put so much of our own creative energy and tears and resources into this, that it feels personal, like when it doesn't. And it's not, but it's hard to separate ourselves from that. So, yeah. And I should have asked in the very beginning, what's your channel about? I forgot to tell us what your channel is all about and what you do there.
I create miniatures for tabletop gaming, and we're kind of looking at expanding now and getting a little broader. That's a pretty niched audience. The bigger goal, I guess, is to inspire people to get off maybe their screens and try something out on their own that they think they could never do, and give them the encouragement to do that. That's kind of the goal. I think maybe I've just been sort of building stuff and not really focusing on that as much as I should, empowering people that way. But in general, that's the gist of it. We make miniature stuff and try to make it as cool as we can.
He is way underselling himself, guys. You need to go check out the channel. There's a link in the show notes of this episode. Go check it out. What he's building these models of that look like real fantasy places, like The Hobbit and I forget some of the other ones you've done, but and they look so real, but they're really tiny. And my kids love it. They're like, that is the most amazing arts and crafts channel ever. You know, like, well, it's not arts and crafts, but that's what they think of, you know? So, yeah, so go definitely check it out. And I think the other thing that is worth mentioning is I think a lot of people think you need to have millions of subscribers and millions of views in order to make a living on YouTube. And I think you and I both prove that that's not necessarily true. I haven't even really published a video for like 2 years because of a lot of personal stuff and things going on in the business. And it's just, you know, after doing 4,000 videos over the course of 8 or 9 years, he's just, I need a break, you know? So, and things keep going, but I think it's a good example for you guys. Like, you don't need to be the most popular channel on YouTube in order to make this work. So go check out his channel, see what he's doing. And he does phenomenal titles and thumbnails and adding personality to these things. And we've talked today about some things to do going forward in the future to even further grow the channel to more views and more subscribers and even more stories and things around it. So I'm excited to see what you guys do next here and looking forward to seeing that. So thanks for letting me be a small part of it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having us, Tim.
There's a link to Neil's channel in the show notes of this episode. Click down there and go check it out and see the amazing builds that he is creating. Even if you're not really into tiny miniatures and things like that, I think you're going to watch it. You're going to be really intrigued as I was and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was a thing. This is so cool. So yeah, so go check it out. And if you feel like you feel a little stuck in your channel and you would like some direction from me or someone on my team to know how to take the next steps to really reach the goals that you have for your channel, whether that be to go full time or just, you know, make more money or a side income, or even just like, no, Tim, I've got a full team of like, we're a big company and we are trying to figure out how to make YouTube work for us. That's exactly what we do with literally hundreds, almost thousands of creators one-on-one every year. And we would love to sit down and look at your channel, dig into it, and then come prepared with notes to our session, our 1 hour conversation to really help you know, like, what next steps are you actually going to take to grow this and get from point A to point B. That's what we want to give you in 1 hour. So go to videocreators.com/consulting. You can find a spot right on my calendar or one of the other strategists on my team's calendar and just book it right there. And we will show up ready to dive into your channel with you. We're looking forward to it. Go to videocreators.com/consulting. All right, let me introduce you to Jake from Creator Hooks. He's going to share a little bit more about his story in our conversation that I'm about to introduce to you guys. So I'll let him share that. But just for some context, we are at an event when we recorded this called Social Media Marketing World. It was really early in the morning, so my voice sounds super deep in it. But the content is really good, and I think you're going to get a lot out of this. So here's the conversation. I'll be back at the end with some other thoughts and some other ideas for you, as well as your power tip. Can't let you go without that, right? So here's my conversation with Jake. Jake from Creator Hooks. Hey, man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am tired. If you guys are watching the video version of this, I'm sure my eyes are bloodshot and my voice is tired, but we're here.
We are.
At Social Media Marketing World. And I have been following your stuff since we met at Vid Summit. Yeah, Vid Summit. And you came up to me and you're like, hey, I'm doing this thing with like YouTube titles. And I was like, okay, you and a lot of other people, what are you doing? You know, and you're like, well, I'm dissecting all the, this is my words, not his. You know, I'm dissecting all of these titles. I'm learning what works, what doesn't work, and headlines, and what gets people to click, and what creates intrigue, what sparks curiosity, what doesn't, and you're like, I have this newsletter where I am like looking at all these titles every week and sending out this email where it's like, here's why this title works and why this one doesn't. And I was like, oh my gosh, can you put me on the email list? Which might be the only time I've said that in the past like 10 years.
That's awesome.
Can you put me on the email list? So I think I gave you my email and you were like, heck yeah. So you put me on there. And now when those emails come in, my assistant, Caitlin, takes them from my inbox and she copies the public MailChimp link and shares them in our team education channel on Slack so that other strategists can have a chance to look at them too. So it's been really helpful for us, and I'm looking forward to hearing what your process is here for how you craft like really engaging titles. But before we dive into that, I want to hear a little bit about your story of how does one get into this field? Is it a field?
I guess it's a field. I don't know. It's a nerdy expertise.
How did you get started with this? Yeah.
So I was working for a fishing company, and I was the editor-in-chief there. So I was in charge of publishing all the videos and writing all the titles, and I had no idea what I was doing. My boss was like a really, really good copywriter. So I would write like 3 titles. I'd send it to him. I'd take like an hour or 2, and he'd be like, these stink. So I'd go back to the drawing board, write 3 more titles for another hour, send it to him. Like, I'd be proud.
So
I would spend a lot of time
writing 6 titles.
I spent a lot of time.
That's more people than a lot of people. A lot more time than a lot of people spend editing their videos.
I mean, he like beat it over my head. Like, the title is the most important thing to get people to click.
He's right.
And yeah, so I spent a lot of time, and I was new. I'd never been like in YouTube before, and I just didn't know what made people click or what made a good YouTube title. And so, I'd send him 6 titles, 2 hours, and then he'd like just send over one that was so much better than mine.
You're like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it was really frustrating, and I honestly thought I was gonna quit. Like a couple weeks into the job, I'm like, I remember my wife and I, we were like driving on the weekend, and I was just thinking, like, what am I gonna do? I was thinking of like other jobs and stuff.
Oh, really?
And it was my dream job. Like, I was so excited to be there.
Video creators wasn't your dream job?
No,
it's okay.
I was working at a fishing company. I watched YouTube fishing videos all day.
Yeah. And so were you crafting fishing titles, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I finally figured out that, like, since I didn't really know what I was doing, you can just model what works. Until you're an expertise, you figure out what other people do. Like, when you're first learning to play the guitar, like, you don't just play your own song.
Sure.
You learn other people's songs.
Right.
So that's what I did with titles. I didn't know what made people click, so I just kind of modeled what other people clicked. So I would look at like fitness companies or fitness channels, and if they had said like how to get bigger biceps in 3 weeks, I would say how to catch more trout in 3 hours. So just like trying to copy what has proven to work. And obviously you're not like copying because we're talking about fishing and not fitness or whatever it is. So I finally figured that out. I finally got job security. Our channel started growing. My boss was happy. I was happy. And then I thought, what if modeling worked for us? I bet that it would work for other people.
So when you were modeling, you mean like you're looking at those and just the other titles and be like, not so much I want to copy this title, but you're more like, what worked here?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
And you broke that down into a system or a process now that you use?
Yep. Yeah. So that's the Creator Hooks newsletter that you mentioned earlier. And, I just look at at 5 videos every week, like, that worked really well. Like, let's say a channel gets 10,000 views on every one of their videos, but then one got 10,000 or 100,000. Like, there's something there. So I look at like probably a couple hundred channels every week, looking for those videos.
Every week. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're doing more than I am.
Yeah. And I'm not deep diving. I'm just like kind of scanning, like, what popped off for a channel. And then, then I'll try to reverse engineer why that worked.
So you broke this down into a process, into a system for crafting a good, engaging title. And I think we both know, like, there's other metrics that should be evaluated besides the title in terms of how a video performs. If it was like, went big on Reddit, for example, or got hit up by a big newsletter, or
good thumbnail.
Good thumbnail. Yeah, there's a lot of things, but the title and the thumbnail combo especially is like one of the. If there's like one lever you should pull to like get the biggest bang for your buck, like one thing you should focus on is that title and thumbnail, right?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And so, are you doing stuff with the thumbnail too, or primarily just the
Not
title?
as much. I'll kind of look at thumbnail text, or just kind of like the general strategy of the thumbnail.
Okay, yeah. So kind of how like they complement each other.
Yeah, exactly. So like the other
setting.
day I saw a title, and the title was how to read better in 8 minutes, and the thumbnail was like, you're reading wrong.
Oh yeah.
So you have like a little bit of
I've
like
used that thumbnail before. Not reading, but like you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the thumbnail has like some fear and curiosity there, and then the title really complements it well with a benefit, and then you got a time frame in there too.
Sure. Okay. Cool. So, are you going to reveal your secret process?
There is no secret. I mean, YouTube is very transparent with everything, so like it's so easy to model and like see what works. Like you can sort by most popular and like just see all the popular topics.
Yeah.
But kind of when it comes down to it, it's you want to worry about, or you want to evoke 3 emotions: curiosity, fear, and desire.
Curiosity, fear, and desire, in order to get the click.
Yes, and it's usually curiosity plus fear or curiosity plus desire.
So curiosity is like the main one.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we've been saying. I've been using the word intrigue, but is that synonymous?
Yeah,
with,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, with that, because what a lot of creators do, as you know, is they are just like describing the content, you know, and it's just like how to do this thing. And if you don't know how to do that thing, you could be curious, especially if it's something like shocking or surprising or something like that. But still on the level of like eliciting emotion. Ultimately, just needs to pop up like a question mark above their head.
Yes.
Like they're just browsing and like, oh, what's that? Or how does that work? Or is that for real? Or something like a really question mark, and that tension in the brain literally prompts them to like, the only way to resolve that tension is to tap or click. Let's say I'm doing a video on how to prep my tax forms.
Yeah.
And so how would I spark curiosity? It's that season, right? So
Gosh, yeah. So you might say like, you know, the one mistake most people make when prepping their tax forms. So you got some fear there, but also some curiosity. Like, what is that one mistake?
yeah, or it could be like, if you do this wrong, you'll go to prison.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or something like, okay.
Yeah, that's
all right. You got
there.
my attention a little bit more now.
Another thing that you could do is add a time frame. Like the thing that, you know, so now we're talking about desire here, but the thing that like most people, when they think about taxes, it's like, this is going to take a long time. This is going to be really frustrating. So you might say how to prepare your taxes in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I know that I could do this in 1 hour. Or, you know, how to prepare your taxes the easy way.
Yeah.
You know,
or how to never do them again.
Yeah,
Hire a CPA.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because I know in sales, and I'm assuming this translates to YouTube videos. If you can save someone time or save them money or effort, which would maybe be similar to time, like those are really big things. Our other one that we do is like an example we use often that's people find boring is spreadsheets. You know, so is it like how to prepare your taxes in a spreadsheet, for example? Let's just use that. How'd you make that intriguing? Or enticing, rather, or no, curiosity. Sorry.
So for curiosity, you might you could use contrast. So you could talk about opposites there. So like how to make your boring taxes fun. You know, so those are like boring and fun. Yeah, exactly.
Is it possible to go too far though? People are like, don't believe it, so don't click.
Yeah, definitely.
Like me on that one. I'm like, no, it's not possible. Any other like frameworks that you use to kind of take something boring and turn it into something engaging?
Yeah. So there's a couple, you know, and they're all kind of organized by those three emotions. So like going back to desire, I'm learning how to play the piano right now. I only watched the videos that said beginner in them because I was insecure about my skills. I thought that every video was too advanced for me. So if you just say like how to prepare your taxes as a total beginner, one, they're eager to learn. So they want to click. Two, there's a huge audience, like, you know, the beginners are the biggest sect of any audience. Sure. Yeah. And then also it kind of speaks to, it calls me out directly because I'm a beginner and I was just insecure. And, you know, this made me feel comfortable. Like, okay, this is for me. It's not too advanced for me. I'm going to watch this. Yeah.
So I think what you're poking at there, which is the importance of knowing who this video is for. And I think sometimes when we work with creators, they're like, I want it to be for everyone. And you're like, okay, try that, see how that goes. And then we'll talk. Right? But it's really important that the person you're trying to reach identifies that this is for me. And one way you can do that is by putting the word beginner in it. Right?
Yeah. Or like how to invest in your 20s. You know, you're calling out a specific type of person. One channel that I like, it's a finance channel, and like clockwork, every video that does best for him every month is my top stocks to buy in March 2022. And then he makes it next month, top stocks to buy in April 22. And it's like every single month, that's his best video.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, because it feels extremely relevant when I see that, and like, oh, this is timely, it's time sensitive, it's for now. But the flip side of that is he's got to keep making those.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it's not like an evergreen piece of content that can continue to grow, but it can be good for exposure for while that thing is popular or hot or everyone thinking about it. You know? Anything else?
Yeah. So one last one. So we talked about beginner tips, and like if you're trying to make sales, like obviously beginner tips isn't like the best one for you, but another one is like kind of X versus Y. So you might say like how to start a YouTube channel. You know, you're not really gonna make a lot of sales there, but then you might just say like you know, microphone A versus microphone B for YouTube, and that's gonna get more sales. You know, more affiliate sales there.
Right.
So, just these are all like kind of just tools in your arsenal.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
beginner tips to bring people in, X versus Y to sell people on products. So you can kind of mix and match, knowing what you're trying to achieve with any video.
Yeah. One of the questions we get a lot from creators as we're working with them is like, but what about keywords? I'm curious to hear what role those do or do not play in your process for coming up with a good title.
Yeah, so I was listening to your podcast this morning,
Oh.
and I heard you just ranting.
You did homework.
I heard you ranting, and I was wondering if you're an ass. That's funny.
Well, I did. So what do you think?
Good. I think it's important because it tells the audience what the video is about.
Yes.
So if I see like a video that said it was harder than I thought, I'm probably not going to click on it
Unless the thumbnail makes it super clear what it is.
Yes. Yeah. But also oftentimes like that's just, that it might not tell me, I just don't know what it's about. But you're right.
But if the thumbnail makes it clear. So for example, we did one with a client that was they had all the right keywords in there. It was like how to grill chicken on this model grill, and had all the right keywords in there in terms of how to and grill and model number and chicken and all that kind of. But it got like a couple thousand views and just kind of stopped. Because to your point, like there's no curiosity there, right?
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, okay. Right? The only people looking for that video are the people who bought that grill and don't know how to cook chicken.
Yep.
Right. So it's a very narrow audience. I watched the video, and there's something that actually was really curious to me, and it was that, you know what spatchcock chicken is?
What?
Exactly. That's what I thought. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That you're like Sasquatch. No. So that's the curiosity. Like what they did is they take the spine out of the chicken, and they unroll it basically and lay it out flat.
Okay.
On the grill, so it's like even across, rather than just putting the whole chicken on the grill. The thumbnail now is split into two sides, and one side is like a red X over a whole chicken on the grill, and then the right side is a green check mark with the spatchcock just like mangled and spread out flat, on the grill. And the title was just "You're doing it wrong."
Nice.
So in that case, I think it was really clear what this was about, even though it had no keyword, and that went to do like 60, 70,000 views in like the next couple of weeks.
That you have to have a great thumbnail in that instance. And if you don't, then then you're going to need to convey that topic in the title.
Yeah.
And then another thing, kind of talking about that Sasquatch chicken.
Sasquatch. Yeah, it's spatchcock, but I'm not sure that's a better word. I know.
One thing that I found works if you're talking about Sasquatch chicken.
Yeah, whatever.
You could label it because. If you don't have a great thumbnail, but you still want to drive curiosity, you probably wouldn't want to say Sasquatch chicken because nobody knows what that is.
Exactly.
But you could say the best grilled chicken you've never made. Or something. You could label it as the best grilled chicken. Yeah. You don't have to say some word that nobody knows.
Right. Yeah. Can you expand on the fear one a little bit?
There's a lot to go in with fear and kind of just like negativity in general. So Mr. Beast, I spent 50 hours buried alive. He's talking about like a lot of people's biggest fear.
Sure.
So that's one way that works well. You can also do like loss aversion, which is kind of like mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest mistake I made preparing my taxes last year. That's fear. It's warning people, talking about like your biggest regrets. All that is like kind of fear, negativity, moving away from pain, talking about how I quit my job to escape the rat race versus how I now live my dream life. Quitting my job is moving away from pain. Escaping the rat race is moving away from pain.
Yeah.
And that often works better than moving towards pleasure.
Okay. Can you expand on desire a little bit? Is it basically what does your target audience want, and then make sure that the video is aligned with the thing they want?
Yeah, exactly. So desire, you've got a couple different ways you can kind of heighten the desire. So one is just like talking about a benefit, how to do your taxes. Like it's like kind of a desire. But you could say it's a need.
It's a need, yeah.
So you could say how to do your taxes in 1 hour. So you're adding a time frame at the end to kind of heighten that desire. You're like, all right, cool, I can do this now. Or how to do your taxes in 2022, because that's speaking to a benefit. All right, I want to do my taxes this year. I know things have probably changed since 2021. So just telling them that, hey, it works right now is one way to kind of heighten that desire and make them click. So you've got time frames, timeliness, which is in 2022. You could also do authority. So like how to do your taxes like like a tax pro. That's a terrible example because there's no like.
It's better than I would have come up with.
But you could just, thinking about who are the authority figures in your industry. And there are two kind of aspects to authority. It could be a specific type of person. So how to start a business like Elon Musk. That's a specific person. Or, doctors do this to lose weight. Sure. So that's a position.
Yeah.
And that works because we want to be like them, like in the Elon Musk part. We trust them, like both Elon Musk and the doctors. Or if you're talking about like drama, we want to be better than them. So you could talk about like, Elon Musk's big mistake, when setting up his company or something. If I'm looking for drama, I'm going to watch that and I'm going to like feel like, all right, I'm better than him.
I want to go back to something you just said though a little bit ago, which was that you would spend an hour crafting 3 titles. Okay. So, and I kind of made this a side comment, but it's really true that like a lot of people spend, like they think about the title while it's uploading. And you guys who've been around for a while know this, you've heard me say this, like it doesn't matter how amazing your video content is if no one's enticed to click in the first place. What would your encouragement be to someone who is like, they hear that and they're like, really? And does 2 hours into crafting titles, is that really worth the effort and the energy? Or is that just like wasted time? Just get the video up and go on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly not wasted time. Like you said, if nobody clicks your video, then you just wasted a lot of time and you're not getting any benefit from people watching your video.
Sure.
So yeah, if at all, like definitely topic and title and thumbnail first. Thinking about what is going to make people click and leading with that. And that's kind of where you get into clickbait too. Like you might say, if we're talking about fitness, how to get bigger arms in 30 days. But if you don't say in 30 days at all in the video, then that's kind of clickbait, right? Because you're not
because you didn't deliver on the promise.
Exactly, right. Exactly. So yeah, definitely trying to think about, all right, what does my audience want to watch? To come up with a good topic, and then what is going to make them click? How do I drive that desire or fear or curiosity? How am I going to like let the thumbnail and the title work together? I think like the thumbnail and title are like D Wade throwing LeBron an alley-oop. Like they just, they work together so well.
You should definitely check out all the resources Jake is creating for creators like us, including his Creator Hooks email newsletter he sends out with like, here's all the YouTube titles and thumbnails I've analyzed, and here's the principles I draw from them and what we can learn from them. Like I mentioned at the very beginning of my conversation with Jake, we use those in our team here at Video Creators, and we are learning from how he's breaking those down. So I think it'd be valuable for you too. There's a link in the show notes of this video. You can go check him out and sign up for what he's sending out each week there. Every week, we wrap up our episode with a power tip, something practical that you can take and use right now in your endeavors on YouTube to grow your channel. And for this week's power tip, I want to introduce you to 2 new features that YouTube has rolled out in their Shorts product, both of settings that you can do inside of the iPhone if you're shooting those on the iPhone. Number 1 is you can now, there's a lighting option under More in the camera toolbar. And if you turn this feature on, it will remain on. And what it does is it enhances your lighting when you start to record the short on the iPhone. So if you have a poor lighting experience, this is the option you want to turn on. It somehow magically makes the lighting look way better. And then the second thing is retouch, which is like makes your skin look better, I guess. It adds smoothing effect to it while you record your short on the iPhone. You'll find the retouch option in the camera toolbar as well. And if you turn that on again, it just stays on until you turn it off. So for those of you who want to just, add a little polish to what you look like while you're creating shorts, that feature is there for you. Thank you guys for hanging out. And if you like to leave us a voice message, we have a new episode coming up soon, like we do about every month or two, where we'll just take all of your voicemail messages, all the questions you're asking, and me, Delana, maybe Ingrid, Luke on our team, we sit down and we just answer all of them. So that episode's coming up soon. In the show notes, you'll find the link to go just record your quick little voicemail message for us, and we'll use that in an upcoming episode, just responding to your comment or answering your question, whatever it might be. All right, so do that, and I'll see you guys again next week for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you guys then.